people picked up on our vibe, because at that time we weren't something that was put together, and the music that we were producing wasn't anything that someone gave to us. It was what came from us.
The year is 2001. UK Garage is taking over, R&B is thriving, and three women are about to shake up the scene with a sound that's both fresh and unmistakably British. They weren't just another girl group, they were Mis-Teeq. With their breakthrough single, a last-minute remix, and a unique blend of silky harmonies and fiery raps, Mis-Teeq didn't just enter the music industry, they dominated it. But how did it all come together? And what made their debut album, Lickin, on both sides, a game changer? In this video, we'll look at the rise of Mis-Teeq and how they helped to take UK Garage mainstream, creating a platinum selling record and helping to shape the pop music landscape of the early 2000s. Love music. Dive deeper into the stories behind the hits and hidden gems, and explore the eras that have defined some of your favourite artists. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Hit that bell icon so you're always the first to know when I drop new content. Now back to the video. In 1997, Alicia Dixon and Sabrina Washington met at Dance Attic Studios in Fulham through Louise Porter, who was assembling a group under her production company. The two spent a couple of years developing their craft with Porter before forming a trio with Tina Barrett, performing as singers and dancers under the name Face to Face.
And I was working with a young solo artist who was also, rather like myself, she was doing featured vocals on dance records. So I took her to a dance class at Dance Works just off Oxford Street one Sunday afternoon. Very miserable, dreary day. I saw Alicia in the dance class and I thought, what a beautiful girl. So I spoke to she was only 19, and I spoke to the dance teacher who I happened to know because he was a friend of Entice. And he choreographed one of their videos and been in one of their videos. So I had a word with him. I said, can you introduce me to that young lady? And he said, yeah, sure, in a break. So in between, I was thinking, I really need a break. I need a 6-month break. Do I really want to start another girl group? Because it's a lot of work. I've just spent 2-3 years developing Entice. And most of the time, I did it on my own, investing, just every aspect of it. But I had a chat with her in the break. I said, would you like to be in a girl group? She said, yes. I already had my recording studio that I co-owned with David Brahm. And I thought, she's delightful. And then I watched her in the dance class and I just kept seeing these eyes. It was her eyes. I thought, she's lovely. I thought, no, I'm going to help, I'm going to work with her. So she used to start coming down because she didn't live in London. She lived out in the sticks a bit. So she used to come down every week and we developed her vocals. And then about a year or so later, I met a duo, one of whom was Sabrina. I loved Sabrina and they were both great, but I thought Sabrina had real star quality like Alicia. So I said, look, you're great, but if you ever split up, let me know, because I'd really like to work with Sabrina. Gave them my cards and Sabrina lost my card and she searched everywhere. Luckily, I'd met her at Dance Attic Studios in Fulham. So she called the manager there, I think, who gave them my contact details. And that was a few months later she contacted me, or quite a while later after her duo had split up. I didn't want to split up the duo. Just wanted to let her know if, anything happens in the future, she can contact me. So then I had Sabrina and Alicia, and very similar age and great. We just had, Sabrina was also a brilliant rapper. As I say, she was in a kind of rapping duo when I met her, but she just had that beautiful voice. And I just had a word. I thought, wouldn't it be great if Alicia did a little bit of MCing? So I said, Alicia, what do you think about, MCing? And next thing I know, she embraced it. And she just became one of the best MCs in the country. And that was a real asset and USP for the group, I think, her MCing. So, and then a little while after that, I did go through a few young artists until we found, you know, the final combination of 4.
At the time, the group remained unsigned and all members balanced their music aspirations with day jobs. However, when Barrett successfully auditioned for S Club 7, she left the group, leading to the arrival of Zena McNally and su-elise Nash, solidifying the lineup. Their producer, David Brandt, who would go on to co-write their early hits, Why and All I Want, introduced them to DJ Darren Stokes from Tin Tin Out. Seeing the group's potential, Travers signed them, and with a fresh new direction, Mis-Teeq was born. Their sound was a genre-blending force that helped define early 2000s UK music. They were a natural evolution of similar groups that came before, such as Fierce, Entice and The Honeys, but they brought something different to the table by fusing UK Garage R&B and hip-hop in a way that felt fresh.
The first demo we recorded together as a group, which was Why, the R&B version, was overheard by Darren Stokes from Tin Tin Out. And he actually took it to Inferno Records and they fell in love with the song. And we met them a couple of weeks later and we were signed a couple of weeks after that. So it was a natural progression. We wasn't actually looking for a deal at the time. We were just developing ourselves as artists.
What was that like? Take me back to that time. What was it like for a black British female group in the UK as well? Because we'd imported Destiny's Child.
Yes.
But the UK was very Westlife and S Club 7.
Yes.
So what was your experience of that time?
Everybody told us don't do it. Everybody thought the odds were against us. Even close family and friends, they thought we were crazy. They didn't think black people would sell records in the UK. And they thought we should have a sensible job. And we all said, nah, we got this. It's all good. And I think in a weird way, that arrogance that came with being 21 and fearless is what helped us. Because in a way, we were like, we need to be different. We need to prove that we can sell records. We need to prove that 3 black girls don't need to necessarily have a white girl in the group in order to sell records. So it meant a lot. It was a big deal. We were still, when I think back to that time and I think about some of the other pop acts that were around at the time, we were the ones signed to the smallest label. Everybody else had major record labels, big marketing budgets, and we didn't have any of that.
People picked up on our vibe because at that time we weren't something that was put together, and the music that we were producing wasn't anything that someone gave to us. It was what came from us.
Mis-Teeq's first official single, Why, released in September 2000. But the story behind it is interesting because the version that became a hit wasn't the one they originally recorded. The track was initially a straight-up slow jam, produced by David Brandt. It had all the elements of a classic late 90s R&B track, smooth vocals, heartfelt lyrics, and a mellow groove. But when they released it, it wasn't making much noise. The original version leaned more towards the American-influenced UK R&B sound that was much slower and more sensual, sitting in that classic R&B groove. Comparable to the likes of Brandy, early Destiny's Child, or Maya, sultry, moody, and emotional. It has soft, layered synths, deep bass, and atmospheric pads that gave it a dreamy, almost melancholic vibe. The drum pattern was a steady R&B groove, giving it an almost nocturnal and reflective feel. Sabrina's lead vocal delivery was smooth and heartfelt, with rich harmonies from the remaining members adding a polished texture. Lyrically, it was a breakup song full of frustration and unanswered questions. It's about someone questioning why their relationship fell apart, dealing with betrayal and emotional pain. The original version, while well produced and vocally strong, didn't stand out enough in the UK R&B scene. At the time, the UK market wasn't fully embracing homegrown R&B acts, and Mis-Teeq risked blending in rather than breaking through. It was at this point the ladies faced their first hurdle. Do they continue with the R&B sound or try something new?
And the only reason Mis-Teeq is successful is because of the pirate radio stations and all the DJs that supported us and played our jam when no one knew who we were, what we looked like. We'd go out to a rave and Y would come on, and we'd know it was our jam that was coming on because it was a turquoise green vinyl, and you'd see the DJ bring it out. We'd be there dancing to our own jam in a club. No one recognised us. There was no video at the time, and it was all authentic. All the major radio stations turned us down. I mean, most of them, apart from Dream Team at Radio 1, who were the only ones that supported Y on mainstream radio, all the others said no, and they only jumped on board once it had charted. Once it was a top 10, then we got playlisted on the other radio stations. So without a doubt, pirate radio, DJs made Mis-Teeq the success that it was.
Then came the remix by Matt Lamont, which completely transformed the song. He took the a cappella vocals and flipped it into a two-step garage banger with skippy beats, deep bass lines, and a more upbeat club-ready feel. The rise of UK Garage in the late 90s and early 2000s was one of the most exciting and influential movements in British music history. Garage started as an underground genre, but quickly grew into a cultural phenomenon, shaping the sound of UK pop and R&B to this day. The genre was born in the mid-90s in London's underground club scene, drawing influence from American house music, but adding a distinctly British twist. It was a mix of sped-up house beats, broken rhythms and syncopated bass lines, giving it that signature skippy two-step sound. But garage also took inspiration from R&B, jungle and drum and bass, creating a fusion that felt fresh, gritty and innovative. DJs and producers like Sticky, Sunship and Groove Chronicles started experimenting with bass-heavy, vocal-driven sounds that would later define the genre. As the sound developed, it found its home on pirate radio stations, where DJs would spin fresh, experimental tracks.
Right, London Town. I'm gonna open the phone line for you. For your shouts, dedications and requests. Also got a little competition coming up later on.
So Solid Crew, Wiley and Miss Dynamite started gaining attention with their garage-influenced hip-hop and grime tracks. And then came the pop crossover. Tracks like Artful Dodger and Craig David's Rewind, and So Solid Crew's 21 Seconds hit big in the charts and showcased garage's infectious energy. DJ Luck and MC Neat's A Little Bit of Luck and Wookie's Battle were also groundbreaking singles. The remix of Y blew up on pirate radio and in the underground garage scene, giving Mis-Teeq a real buzz before they even had an album out. However, as the group was gearing up to re-release their debut single in early 2001, they started facing pushback from the UK garage scene and parts of the industry, and a lot of it came down to the perception of girl groups and the evolving sound of garage itself. Some in the underground scene weren't thrilled. UK garage had deep roots in pirate radio, raves and MC culture, and some fans felt Mis-Teeq's entry into the genre was too commercial and polished compared to the raw, street-driven acts dominating the scene. They were seen as a female R&B group, jumping on the garage wave, rather than coming from within the movement. Some DJs were hesitant to support them at first, because garage was still considered a man's game, dominated by male MCs, producers and DJs. At the time, no female groups were breaking through in UK garage. The genre was mostly solo acts, male duos, or DJ artist collaborations. Labels weren't sure if a girl group mixing garage with R&B would actually work, especially with Alicia's rapping, a role usually reserved for men in the genre. The pushback Mis-Teeq got was very gendered. There was skepticism about whether a girl group could bring the energy, credibility, and lyrical presence needed to be taken seriously in that space.
Done Y in the R&B version, which we loved, and it got some traction, but we loved garage too. So we was like, okay, cool, we need to get a mix. So we got a mix, and Matt Jam Lamont done the mix, and we had to take it to the record company. We took it to the record company and they were like, what's this? It's like, this is the mix. And they was like, okay. They didn't really understand it because they weren't really into garage on the record company that we was on. But they said, okay, we're gonna see what we can do. So we done the video and then it blowed. It blowed without us even trying to make it.
Instead of backing down, Mis-Teeq leaned into their unique fusion of R&B and garage. The success of Why on pirate radio forced mainstream radio and TV to take notice. The remix released as a single in October 2000 and hit number 8 on the UK singles chart. It became a defining track in the UK Garage era, standing alongside songs from artists like Craig David and Artful Dodger. To capitalise on their underground success, a remix video was also filmed, taking on a different tone compared to the original. The styling is low-key, yet stylish, with a mix of casual R&B aesthetics and garage-edge streetwear. The single's success convinced the group and their label to lean into garage more, shaping the sound of their debut album.
When you make an R&B record, you are throwing yourselves into a market that is pretty much saturated.
We are.
And now you've got two fronts. You've got the R&B and the garage vibe, and you go on two fronts. Now, did you plan that because you stuck with that formula and it's worked for you?
When we initially done Why, we always said that we wanted a garage mix because we used to go out and we used to rave to garage, and it was a thing where the garage mix just started to blow up on the underground, so it was inevitable for us to go with that, and we didn't mind that because garage was something we was into.
Even though Mis-Teeq later evolved into a more R&B pop sound, Why remains one of their most important songs because it set the tone for their career. Without that remix, they might have just been another girl group making smooth R&B, but this track put them at the heart of the UK garage explosion. Despite Mis-Teeq's growing success, Zena McNally decided to leave the group, citing an imbalance in decision-making and creative input. In a blog post by Anika Allen, Zena revealed that while things started off fun, she soon felt excluded from key decisions as the production company favoured Alicia and Sabrina, who had been in the group longer. She expressed frustration at not being able to contribute her ideas, feeling like she was being suppressed rather than treated as an equal member. According to her, being in a group should be about teamwork and compromise, but that wasn't the case. Ultimately, the lack of creative freedom and imbalance within the group led to her departure. Zena would go on to release her solo project in 2005, aptly titled All of Me. The project, mainly recorded in the US and London, was only initially released in Japan. She had a number of notable producers and writers for the project, including Candy Burruss, Tracy Stewart, Kerry Hilson, Sierra and Tim Blacksmith. However, the project failed to make an impact on the charts. Following the unexpected success of the remix, Mis-Teeq found themselves at a pivotal moment. They had generated considerable buzz, but they needed to define their sound before dropping their debut album. This process wasn't straightforward, as they were caught between two worlds, R&B and UK garage. Telstar Records realised that their garage sound was resonating with audiences. The original plan was for them to be an R&B group, but the success of the two-step remix changed everything. The industry wanted more garage acts. DJs, clubs and pirate radio were pushing UK garage into the mainstream, so Mis-Teeq needed to capitalise on the momentum. But they didn't want to abandon their core original genre. They still saw themselves as an R&B group. This duality would ultimately lead to the album blending both genres instead of fully committing to one. As they began work on their debut album, the group started collaborating with some of the most influential producers in UK garage and R&B at the time, which shaped the album's dual identity. As a result, Lickin on both sides featured a diverse lineup of producers, each bringing their own signature sound to the project. This blend of UK garage, R&B and dancehall helped define the group's unique sonic identity. Stargate, known for their polished, melodic R&B pop production, added a sleek, radio-friendly edge to the album. Ed Case, a UK garage specialist, bringing skippy beats and underground energy. Blacksmith, experts in R&B and reggae-infused production, bringing a smooth rhythmic bounce. Raja Mushtaq delivered a laid-back, soulful R&B sound, showing the group's versatility. Synth produced a gritty, hip-hop influenced track featuring Asher D and MC Harvey from So Solid, adding a streetwise edge. Ignorance, known for hard-hitting beats, bringing a more urban, edgy vibe. Sunship, a major force in UK garage, giving the album its most club-ready, bass-heavy bangers and full crew. Specialists in R&B remixes, adding lush vocal layering and a classic groove. By working with such a diverse group of producers, Mis-Teeq bridged the gap, creating a genre-blending mix that was both radio-friendly and club-ready. In June 2001, the group released their second single, All I Want. The original version of the song was produced by David Brandt. However, after the unexpected success of Why, Mis-Teeq and the label decided to double down on the sound that initially made them stand out.
I'll never forget the first time our A&R came down to the studio and played us the garage version of All I Want. We went bananas. Like, obviously now it's a song we all know, but back then it sounded so interesting and different, and what Sunship did was so unique. We were so excited. I remember that feeling of, wow, this is different, this feels exciting. And to come with the second single that had as much of an impact as our first single, that was the key moment. Yeah. Because if that song hadn't worked, there would have been no platinum album, there would have been no rise of Mis-Teeq, because it's all well and good coming out of the trap strong with Why, but how are you gonna maintain that success? Yeah. So we owe a lot to Sunship for that remix.
The radio edit produced by Sunship was another high-energy two-step garage banger, packed with skippy drum patterns, a bouncy bass line and choppy syncopated vocal samples, a signature of Sunship's production style. This blend of UK garage with polished R&B vocals helped make the track a club anthem while keeping it radio-friendly. The track also helped to further push garage to the mainstream with more polished visuals and dynamic production. The visual is clean, bright, having a slick club aesthetic mixed with a high-fashion gloss. The group's coordinated outfits, sporty yet stylish, match the urban meets glam vibe. Fast-paced cuts and dynamic camera angles heighten the energy, mirroring the track's skippy two-step beat. Choreographed dance scenes emphasize their performance charisma, while the flashing lights and nightclub setting reinforce the song's after-hours appeal. Overall, the video captures the cool, edgy, and effortlessly confident persona that Mis-Teeq was crafting at the time. After Alicia's rap, the video briefly shifts gears, seamlessly transitioning to the Ignorance remix of the track, adding a more R&B bass-heavy twist to the original beat. The introduction of this shift in the video version reinforced that the group was still keen to showcase their R&B sound. The mix is brief before taking the tempo back up to the Sunship version. The single was successful, peaking at number 2 on the UK charts, and solidified Mis-Teeq as the leading girl group in the UK garage movement. All I Want proved that Mis-Teeq weren't just a one-hit garage act, they had staying power. By fully embracing Alicia's raps, the group carved out a lane that no other girl group occupied at the time. Following the success of the first two singles, Mis-Teeq released One Night Stand as their third single in October 2001. This track, which was used to heavily promote the release of their upcoming album, marked a sonic evolution, blending their signature UK garage energy with a more polished R&B feel. The original album version, produced by Stargate, had a smooth, mid-tempo R&B groove with sultry vocals and a hypnotic, looping melody. This time, smooth synth pads and light percussive beats create a sensual, atmospheric vibe. Sabrina's seductive, almost teasing vocal delivery gave the song a flirtatious yet confident edge, while the harmonies add a dreamy depth. The Sunship mix, which featured near the end of the video, once again turned it into a high-energy club track, using many of the same elements that garage and Sunship were known for, appealing to the group's core audience. The contrast between the two versions finally showcased Mis-Teeq's dual identity. The album version leaned into seductive R&B, fitting for radio and late-night vibes, while the Sunship mix was a straight-to-the-club anthem, keeping them rooted in the UK garage scene. By mixing silky vocals with infectious garage beats, One Night Stand reinforced Mis-Teeq's place as pioneers of the R&B garage crossover sound. The music video leaned into a high-fashion club aesthetic, with sleek metallic and neon lighting, enhancing the club vibe. Sharp, synchronized choreography showcased the group's dynamic performance. Close-up beauty shots and confident gazes also enhanced the song's sensual energy. The single peaked at number 5 on the UK singles chart, making it their third consecutive top 10 hit. This was also the first single released where all three members had an input with writing the song, showcasing their willingness to take more creative control over their sound. It strengthened their reputation as a genre-blending act, capable of switching between R&B smoothness and club-ready garage. It also further cemented Alicia's rapping as a core element of their sound. One Night Stand demonstrated that Mis-Teeq weren't just riding the UK garage wave, they were shaping it. The sonic cocktail of sounds made them stand out in an era when most girl groups stuck to one genre. Mis-Teeq also took a smart, forward-thinking approach with the video, using it as a promotional tool to build anticipation for the album. At the end of the video, a brief snippet of the song Be With Me is played, acting as a teaser for their next single. Other songs showcased are Roll On and They'll Never Know. This was a rare but effective cross-promotional tactic, helping to build excitement for upcoming releases. Interestingly, following the success of Scandalous, this song was chosen as the second single to be released in the US in 2004. This time, the song was remixed by Salaam Remi, known for his work with Nas and Amy Winehouse. His version replaced the UK garage bounce with a heavier hip-hop beat, making it slower, bass-driven, and more groove-focused, aligning with the dominant R&B and hip-hop sound of the early 2000s in the States. It featured gritty, percussive production, stripping away the original's clubby, up-tempo energy the track was known for in the UK. While this transformation made the track more in line with the sound on US radio, where acts like Beyoncé and Ciara were thriving, it didn't manage to crack the Billboard Hot 100. It did, however, reach number 4 on the US dance chart, helping keep them on the radio after the success of Scandalous. When Be With Me was released as a single in March 2002, Mis-Teeq tapped Bump and Flex to create a remixed version that once again leaned heavily into UK garage and two-step influences. Bump and Flex, who at the time were known for creating remixes with a darker, club-oriented sound, transformed the playful, guitar-infused original that was on the album into a garage radio-friendly banger. He incorporated a deep, warping bass line, adding a raw, underground edge, chopped-up vocals, with Sabrina's vocals in particular being layered and manipulated for a more hypnotic feel. This added a heavier dance floor energy to the track, making it perfect for garage DJs and club play. It allowed Mis-Teeq to maintain their garage credibility, even as their mainstream sound started incorporating more R&B and pop influences. DJs embraced the remix, helping it circulate in clubs and on pirate radio stations, extending the song's lifespan beyond the radio edit. The song is flirty, yet confident, where Mis-Teeq take control and express their desire for someone they have their eyes on. From the start, the lyrics make it clear that they know what they want. It balances sweet and sassy, making it feel both romantic and self-assured. The video equally matched the song's energy, presenting the group in a bright tropical setting that leaned into their growing pop appeal while keeping their streetwise edge. The colour palette is bright and warm, a nod to the Caribbean-infused original, giving it a summery, feel-good vibe that enhances the song's flirty nature. The camera features fast cuts and dynamic angles to keep up with the song's bouncy rhythm. The styling is early 2000s street chic, with a mix of sporty and glamorous looks, reinforcing their dual aesthetic. The video helped push the single as a radio-friendly crossover hit, showing a softer, more playful side of the group. The single peaked at number 5 in the UK, as well as charting in other territories including parts of Europe and Australia. Overall, both the remix and video was slick, stylish and full of personality, helping solidify Mis-Teeq's mainstream success while keeping their edge intact. For the final single, the group released a double A-side featuring a remixed version of Roll On and a cover of Montel Jordan's This Is How We Do It. The release in September 2002 was a celebration of their garage roots, while also paying homage to a classic 90s R&B anthem. While the track was not released in the US, the video was shot in LA, giving it a distinct California feel. The album version of Roll On was produced by Blacksmith. This time the group opted to work with Rishi Rich for the single version. Whilst changing the instrumental The remix also enhanced the vocals with some added effects, giving the song a more polished, dynamic, radio-friendly sound. The vocals were a bit more synthesized and enhanced in this version, allowing the bouncy energy of the remix to shine through, while also letting Mis-Teeq's powerful voices take center stage. The visual matched the song's summery feel with a 90s-inspired style video featuring a low-rider and 90s street fashion. Then it changes to dusk and cuts to the single This Is How We Do It. Mis-Teeq reimagined Montel Jordan's 1995 classic, giving it an updated beat and more harmonised vocals. The song retained its party anthem spirit, but Alicia's MC sections gave it a fresh, British twist. The single peaked at number 7 on the UK singles chart, giving them their 5th top 10 hit. It was a full circle moment as it allowed Mis-Teeq to honour their garage roots before transitioning into their more R&B driven second album. Released in October 2001, shortly after the third single, Lickin on Both Sides, was a defining moment for the UK garage and R&B crossover scene. The album masterfully blended the gritty, club-heavy garage sound with smooth, radio-friendly R&B melodies, making it one of the most influential albums released by a female group in the early 2000s. The album's dual personality, hence the title, allowed them to appeal to both the underground garage scene and the mainstream pop audience. Themes for the project centred on female empowerment, love and independence, and this quickly caught on with the general public. Their debut album peaked at number 3 on the UK Albums chart, solidifying Mis-Teeq as one of the biggest British girl groups of the time. It has gone on to be certified platinum in the UK, selling over 600,000 copies. And while the album didn't get a major US release, it laid the groundwork for Mis-Teeq's international appeal, leading to their eventual push in America with their self-titled album in 2004. The album was critically praised for its club-ready beats and smooth harmonies, offering a fresh take on the girl group sound. Mis-Teeq's grittier, edgier style also set them apart from their pop counterparts. Alicia's rapping was also highlighted as a defining element of their sound. However, some critics felt the album relied too much on remixed singles to carry a sound that was lacking on the album. One of the recurring criticisms of the group was that su-elise had minimal vocal parts on many of their tracks. While she was an integral part of the group's image, performances and harmonies, fans and critics often pointed out that she didn't have as many lead or standout vocal moments compared to Sabrina and Alicia. Mis-Teeq's sound was built around Sabrina's strong lead vocals, Alicia's rap and MC sections, and su-elise handling backing harmonies. This meant she often had a supporting role in the group rather than a leading one. Some fans questioned her contribution, feeling she was underutilised and mainly there for image, choreography and harmonies. Others defended her, arguing that girl groups often have members with different strengths, and her presence added to Mis-Teeq's overall performance dynamic and brand appeal. Comparisons to other girl groups were made, with people drawing parallels to members in groups like Destiny's Child, where certain members had more dominant vocal roles than others. Su-elise did, however, play a crucial role in Mis-Teeq's overall vocal blend, providing all the alto or lower harmonies in their tracks. While she may not have had as many lead vocal moments as Sabrina or Alicia, her presence was essential in creating the group's signature sound. Her distinctive and controlled lower register added depth and warmth to Mis-Teeq's harmonies, balancing out the group's vocal dynamics. With both Sabrina and Alicia being high sopranos, their tones were naturally bright and piercing, meaning a strong, dark and feminine lower register was needed to create a full, rich harmony. Su-elise's voice provided that essential contrast, ensuring the harmonies weren't just stacked in the upper range, but had a well-rounded, dynamic quality. Though she wasn't always front and centre vocally, her contribution was felt throughout every track, subtly shaping the overall sound of the group. In live performances, her presence was even more pronounced, helping to stabilise harmonies and reinforce vocal arrangements while also contributing to the group's choreography and stage presence. Lickin on Both Sides has left a lasting impact on UK pop music. It helped bring UK garage to pop audiences, setting the stage for later UK acts who would follow. and even later grime artists who fused underground sounds with mainstream appeal. Groups such as the 411, the Saturdays and even Little Mix leaned into Mis-Teeq's urban pop appeal, helping to diversify their sound. Alicia's style of rapping over R&B beats foreshadowed later artists like Lady Leshurr and Bree Runway, who blend rap with pop and garage elements. Today, the album is a classic in early 2000s UK music, regularly referenced in throwback discussions. Fans look back on the era with nostalgia and admiration, remembering them as a group that truly defined both racial and gender barriers to achieve success. Their music wasn't just about the hits, it was about an entire moment in UK music culture, where club beats, slick harmonies and bold raps thrived in the mainstream. From their music videos and live performances to their influence on future girl groups, Mis-Teeq's legacy is one of innovation, style and undeniable talent. For many, hearing tracks like All I Want or One Night Stand instantly transports them back to an era of flip phones, MTV bass, garage raves and bold Y2K fashion. Even years later, their impact is still felt, whether through the resurgence of UK garage, artists blending R&B with dance, or fans rediscovering their genre-defining sound. Mis-Teeq wasn't just a girl group, they were a movement, and their music still remains just as infectious, energetic and ahead of its time now as it did when it released.